In this video, we're going to be reviewing the feature definition symbologies for Conduit. Looking at the feature definition properties for stormwater concrete pipe, I'm going to start down here in the HDL and EGL display settings. So we have two toggles to display the HDL, hydraulic grade line, and the EGL, the energy grade line, inside of the profile model. That's the red and blue lines that you see here. And then additionally, we are able to hook that up to an element template to control the symbology of these two lines. So symbology is going to control two things. It's going to control how an element looks, so what level it's going to be on, color, line, style, weight. It's also going to control how an element is annotated for the different views. So if we look at the center feature symbology, this is going to control the center line of our conduit in plan view. It's also going to control the annotation group that's applied to that center line. If we look at the profile feature symbology, that's going to be the symbology of the conduit and profile, also where we're going to be assigning that profile annotation group. And then if I look at the symbology for a solid, that's going to control how I look in 3D. So take a look at these three symbologies first. I'm going to start with the linear symbology for a stormwater concrete pipe. So right now I'm displaying the center line, but maybe you don't want to see that center line. So maybe you'll create a special element template that doesn't display that center line. The reason why you would do that instead of just not assigning it is because we still want to have the ability to assign that annotation group to that element. So we still need to have this linear symbology. Now moving down to profile. Here I have my annotation group for profile. In the solid feature symbology, we're going to be pointing to an element template. In this case, we have an element template that has a material assignment, which is why we're seeing concrete over here for the conduits. And then if I go back up to the feature definition settings, I'm going to talk about these last four that we can set up. So these are going to point directly to an element template. So the first two are going to control what we see in plan if you want to see the outer and inside wall. So right now I have my outer wall as a solid line and the inner wall as a dashed line. So you can opt to either display these or not display these by just selecting none or picking the element template that you want to display it as. Moving down here to the profile view, if you want to see that outer profiled element, you're going to add the element template there. And you'll be able to see that in profile as well. Right, the last thing I want to go over is how the size gets drawn inside of the 3D model. Right, so if we're looking at a drainage pipe, this is going to come from a conduit catalog most of the time. So if we remember inside of the feature definition properties, we're pointing to a prototype, which in turn is going to be pointing to a conduit catalog. And here in the catalog is where we have our size list. So when I go to place a circular concrete pipe, it's going to read this catalog and see that I have sizes 12 inches to 78 inches available. And then if I choose an 18-inch conduit, it knows that the inside diameter is 18 inches and I have a wall thickness of 2 inches, and that's how it's going to draw it over here in the 3D model. And the material assignment comes from the element template with the solid symbology. Looking at a utility line, we're doing things a little bit differently. We're always going to have a conduit table built directly into the feature definition settings. So to get into this table, you would first pick your shape and then open up your conduit table, and depending on the shape that you choose, these columns are going to change slightly. But again, anything you see in this list is going to be your available conduit sizes for placement, and then you're going to hold all of your other physical properties here in this table.